Let's get it. In today's video, we will be talking about Polkadot and their upcoming parachain auction, what that means for Polkadot and the Polkadot ecosystem. We will also be chatting about Celsius Network and how them raising $400 million is huge for the space in general and what that means. Thirdly, we'll be chatting about Bitcoin dominance, seeing how that is playing out and how the Fear and Greed Index could potentially lead to a short-term pullback here. And finally, we will end off with some NFT warnings and a few things to look at when you look into certain NFT projects. Let's go. What is up, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Cabin. My name is Tom, and in today's video we're going to be chatting about Polkadot and how their anticipated parachain auctions have a date set finally, which is awesome. We'll be taking a look at Polkadot in general, the Polkadot price, some projects on the Polkadot ecosystem to watch out for or how to find them. We will also be taking a look at Celsius and seeing how their funding that they were able to accumulate is going to help out the space in a big way. We will also be taking a quick look at Bitcoin, the Fear and Greed Index, as well as how much new activity is coming in to Bitcoin as far as search history goes. Then we're going to take a quick look at the cryptocurrency market cap as a whole and Bitcoin dominance, see what's going on there and what it could mean for altcoins in the short term. And lastly, we will take a look at a really great article written about NFTs and what to look for when you are potentially going to invest your money into certain projects. So, without any further ado, let's jump right in here. First up, we've got Polkadot setting their date for the anticipated parachain auctions. So, there still could be some minor changes as they mention here in the headline, but the auction date is set for November the 11th, which is awesome. So this is where projects are allocated to certain slots for building on the Polkadot network. So what does that mean? So here is, if you go to Polkadot's website, is a visual overview of what Polkadot is. It is very complex. I don't fully understand it myself. That is okay. But basically this is the Polkadot network, and it's got all these little parachains across, running around the outside, and in between they are all somehow interconnected. What this means is that you can get any type of data across any type of blockchain. Basically, it allows you to transfer any arbitrary data, not just tokens, to be transferred across blockchains, which is incredible. So it's finally something that is going to, have interoperability between multiple different blockchains, and it's all going to be built on Polkadot. The parachains have already been successfully running on the Kusama network, which is Polkadot's live canary network. So you might notice in the charts when Polkadot is pumping, Kusama is usually pumping as well. That is why. If you want to learn more about the parachains and the auctions and everything like that, come on over to the Polkadot website. This is the link here, polkadot.network/launch-parachains. And then if you scroll down, there is an FAQ section where you can learn a bit more about what parachains are, how many are available. There's about 100, and then a lot of different other commonly asked questions down here if you want to do another or a bit more of a deep dive into that. But we don't have time for that today in this video. We got to get moving. The price of Polkadot has been going, it's pumped big time. Look at this. In the past, or yesterday, October 13th, we went up big time. We went up from here. We jumped up double digits. We jumped up almost 28% there. When we look at the price action as a whole, this is also indicative of the cryptocurrency overall market cap, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But we've got kind of a descending trend line here, which we have broken out above. There is now also this horizontal support and resistance line here, which we have broken through and are potentially coming back down to retest. We also have a cup and handle forming here. So that is typically a very bullish pattern. And as you can see, if this is the descending trend line here that lines up more or less with the top of the cup and the handle, we have broken through there as well. So Polkadot's chart is looking very, very good right now. The next price target that I would be looking for would be from the top of the cup there down to the bottom. This is how we pull the next target. You apply that to the breakout spot, and the next price target I'd be looking for is right around $67, $68. That is where we could potentially be headed here in the next couple weeks. With all of this bullish news surrounding Polkadot and the appreciating price of the network itself, I am starting to look at other projects in the Polkadot ecosystem. So when you come over to somewhere like CoinMarketCap is really easy to figure out. Right along the top here, you will see Polkadot. If you click on that, you will see all of the different projects within the Polkadot ecosystem. These are projects that could potentially have a really solid increase in price as well as Polkadot moves its way up. So come over here, take a look. There are already a few that I know off the top of my head that I've talked about before. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Chainlink, like I mentioned, Kusama. Ren I've talked about before as well. A lot of people have talked about Reef. This is a Moon River is also going to be one that I think has some significant upside. When you get down a little bit lower here, you obviously get riskier and riskier the lower we go. But these are some other projects that I think you could start looking into. Not obviously financial advice here, but this whole Polkadot ecosystem I do think is going to have its own sort of season. Like we've had, DeFi season, and I think DeFi could still come back, of course. We've had all the meme coins go off, and then potentially we could have these little systems like Solana went off. We could have Polkadot go off, the whole ecosystem go off. We could have the Cosmos ecosystem go off, Avalanche. So we could potentially have all these, not necessarily they're going to be separate, they could overlap somewhat, but within each ecosystem we could see a big run up with the projects that are in these main ecosystems. Our next topic of conversation is going to be about Celsius. So Celsius has raised $400 million, which is huge because there's a lot of regulation that is about to come down, or it appears that there's going to be regulation coming down. Celsius CEO Alex Mashinsky is kind of saying that this $400 million that was raised is significant because it's about the credibility that the money comes from, or it's about the credibility of the people who wrote those checks, which should hopefully put a lot of people at ease. So Celsius raised $400 million in equity funding amid regulators' increasing crackdown on crypto lending. We kind of know that they kind of shook their finger at Coinbase, and a lot of other platforms I'm sure are going to be under some sort of regulation soon. But in my opinion, like, regulation is like the worse off platforms, or the not so good platforms, are probably going to get squashed or could get squashed if they don't comply with regulations. But the better platforms, like I know Celsius has been really, really good for me personally so far. So the ones that are more compliant and are doing all the work on the back end, I think are going to be just fine. And then that regulation could potentially bring more people into the space because they feel more confident in the space now that it is regulated. For Celsius, in general, the funding was led by Canada's second largest pension fund out of Quebec and Westcap, an equity firm established by former Airbnb executive Lawrence Tosi. So, like he said, it's not necessarily about just the $400 million, it's about who it came from, and those are two fairly reputable sources. Another important thing is that with these funds, Celsius is going to try to use it to expand offerings to institutions. So they're going to be focusing on institutional grade products, which I think is big. They're also doubling up their team, potentially up to close to 1,000 people employed globally, which is obviously a very, very big operation in and of itself. If you want to research more about Alex Mashinsky, he's like a triple unicorn. He's done a bunch of stuff, so I think he knows what he's doing. He's been in the space for a long time. He's run successful businesses before, so I am very, very bullish on Celsius. I do hold some, full disclosure, I do hold some Celsius, but I just think it's a great platform, and you can take out money and just keep your cryptocurrency in there. It's got a lot of money in it already. It's holding over $25 billion in assets, and over $850 million has been paid in yield. He says that Celsius has distributed 10 times more yield for the crypto community than any other lender, which is absolutely incredible. It is a platform where you get paid out every single week, and those gains compound weekly. So if you want to check out Celsius, go ahead. There will be a link in the description below. If you deposit your first $400 by using my link below, then you can get $50 in Bitcoin. I think after the first month, I think you have to hold that 400 in there for a full month, and then you'll get an extra $50 worth of Bitcoin. It doesn't have to be Bitcoin that you put in, but the reward, I believe, is in Bitcoin. It just needs to be $400 worth US of some form of crypto. Another good thing about this is the interest rates are pretty high, and we just talked about Polkadot. You can be earning 8.86% APY on your Polkadot just for storing it on Celsius. Like I said, this is one of those platforms that I am personally believing in and think the security is great, and haven't had any issues so far with it. So like I said, if you want to go check out Celsius, link is in the description below. Next on the list, let's talk about Bitcoin. So we have a fear and greed index that has surged in the last 3 months, which could potentially signal a short-term correction. So if you have been watching my TA Tuesdays, you will know that I've been kind of thinking that this is going to happen. We might get a short-term pullback, in my opinion, like I've said before, to the high 40s, so somewhere around 48, 49. I would not be surprised if we did see that kind of $10,000-ish pullback for multiple reasons. It was kind of getting overheated with the RSI and everything like that, but the fear and greed index is another one that we can use as well to see when we're getting a little bit overheated and when a pullback may be imminent. Between July and October 13th, Bitcoin's fear and greed index surged from 15 all the way up to 70, which is a big deal. So if you don't know what the crypto or Bitcoin fear and greed index is, it looks like this. It's got a number all the way from 0 all the way to 100. 0 would be like the most fearful you could ever get. 100 would be the most greedy you could ever get. Typically, when people are greedy, that means the majority of people are in profit. When people are scared, that means that people are potentially at a loss, or really, really unsure about where the market is going to go. But if you've heard of the Warren Buffett adage that, be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy, that's kind of the adage that we're looking at here. So typically, some people use this, they shouldn't only use this, in my opinion, for whether they buy or sell, but typically when we get up into the greedy section, that has been a good time to sell in the past, and when we get down into the fearful section, that could be a good time to buy. So that is why this article, anyway, back here, is calling for a potential pullback, because we did get all the way up to 76, and we are currently now sitting at 70. So like I said, wouldn't be surprised if you see a pullback, but in my opinion, that's just a better opportunity to buy. Another reason why I'm not worried quite yet is that we haven't seen the uptick in Google Trends yet either. I've talked about this on my last video, I believe, but we have not seen the same type of search volume as we have before. So this is over the past 12 months, but if we go back to the past 5 years, we will see that even when we went through the run-up back in January, February, we didn't get that high, and then this was right before the sell-off in May. That was when we reached the next highest peak, but none of this has gotten up to where we were in the peak of the 2017 bull cycle. Another reason why I believe we're still in for a big run in the long term, like I said, short term there may be a little bit of a pullback, but we've got a cup and handle pattern forming here on the cryptocurrency market cap total in general. Like I mentioned, Polkadot's got kind of the very similar pattern here, and the whole cryptocurrency market as a whole is forming this as well. We can see the top there, and then if I draw out the cup and handle there. So like I said, long term looking bullish on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. That total crypto market cap chart is looking phenomenal. However, another thing to look at here is the Bitcoin dominance. So we have a potential double bottom here, which could lead to a breakout of Bitcoin compared to the rest of the altcoins. Typical double bottom pattern is, well, it's forming right now, but if we get above this line here, where the top of the W was, the top of the middle, then we could see Bitcoin come all the way back up to right around, it would be typically usually the top of the W, but we have a bit of resistance here, or that was support right around here, that could turn into resistance right about here at about 58. So it could come all the way up to there. The reason I'm saying that is we had some resistance around here, broke through, came down as support there, and then once we broke down, it broke down hard. That would be probably about as high as it would go, in my opinion. We could also get, this is another level right here that we could potentially run into as resistance around 52. But typically what this means is that when Bitcoin dominance is going up, the altcoins are bleeding. Altcoins would be suffering. So with this chart shaping up this way, we'll see if this plays out. It is potentially forming that. It could reverse and go the other way, or it could go sideways for a bit. But if it does come up and pass through this kind of 47 area, we could be on our way up in regards to Bitcoin dominance to 52, and 58 potentially is kind of the highest I think that it would get back to. Last but not least, I wanted to talk to you guys today about NFTs. We are in an NFT bubble, in my opinion. I don't know when it is going to burst, but there are some crazy prices going out there for NFTs, and a lot of people are absolutely aping into whatever project they can get their hands on, and I just want you to be careful. I just had this happen to me last week. It was a project that I had thought I had done enough research on, and I didn't put in too much money. I only bought 2 of them, so I only lost about 0.1 ETH, but it's 0.1 ETH that could have gone somewhere else. So this is a question that a lot of people will ask themselves if something like that happens. Why did I buy that? So right now there is a trend going on in the NFT space where malicious actors will send NFTs to influential wallets to make it appear as though that person invested in the project. They can mint directly to their wallets to make it appear as though they're the ones that bought them. Their hope usually is that someone will see this activity and look into the project and decide to buy. So the project that I was in, I won't name it, I won't call it out, but it appeared, and there was a lot of posts in there, as it appeared as if Gary Vee and a lot of other very prominent NFT collectors minted this token or bought it, and that was posted all over the Discord. And so it appeared, everyone was like, oh sweet, if Gary Vee's involved, this is going to go far. That was not the case. Another thing that he says to look for is check out these things. Well, he says top 6, but really it's top 4. Because the team and the community are number 1, then the roadmap, then the art. Art is always subjective, so just because it looks like good art doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a good project. You can have really crappy art that has a really good team and a great community. That goes a long way, right? You see those pixelated things, you're like, how does this isn't super crazy good artwork. It didn't take them a ton of time maybe to create that, or not a lot of skill, but they're selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So first and foremost, look at the team. And when it comes down to it, it's all about people. That is the world in general. If you can invest in people or learn how to work with people and get people to like you, bet on people is what he's saying. So this is something that all the smartest people and most successful people in this space do. So if a project has an anonymous team, that is a red flag. The team that I was, or the project that I was involved in, looked like it was going to be great. Team was anonymous. Should have been my first red flag, right? So it's a lot of things that you can learn, hopefully, here from my experience and from this article in general as well. However, like he says, it's not necessarily a deal breaker, because there were a lot of other things that I thought were going to be great about it. Like there was a great good following. It seemed like a pretty good community at the start, and then it kind of turned. So we'll talk about that here. But one of the first things to do when evaluating the project website is go to see their team, see if there is a team page or section, check out their Twitter profiles, read their recent tweets, check out their LinkedIn, hop in the Discord and see what kind of announcements they have made and how they interact with the community. So what he is saying here is, I want to know the people behind the project. I want to know how they conduct themselves. I want to know their history, what it is. Have they worked on other successful crypto projects before? If it's an NFT game, do they have experience launching games? Are they people friendly? Do they seem passionate about the project? Do they seem to like human beings? Are they just like a good human being in general? These things all matter. After the team was going to come the community. So we're living in a world, like he said, ushered in by Bored Ape Yacht Club, where there was a tremendous amount of value for any NFT project that stemmed from that community. So that's the power of what a good community can do. However, pure numbers is not the thing. So I was in the Discord had about 18,000 members. I'm in multiple different projects, but this one had 18,000, and it wasn't necessarily that good. I have a different project that has about 2,000 members, and the community is great. Everyone is supportive and happy and wanting to see the project do well, obviously. But there was the project I was in that I got kind of wrecked on, started out that way, and then it slowly seemed to shift, and then all of a sudden the developers were not interacting with anybody, and it could turn around, I don't know, but it looks at this point like it's kind of a lost cause. So like I said, the number of that Discord was pretty good. However, numbers can be faked, and the conversation is much harder to fake. And good conversation is still harder to fake. Projects will now pay bots to infiltrate their Discord and Twitter to bump up their followers, so it looks like they have a bigger following than there actually are, but you cannot fake good organic conversation. So if the chat is flooded with coked up monkeys spamming, those pump it up gifs or list for 1 ETH is generally a bad sign. However, on the flip side, if the chat is full of people talking about how they love the project, the future of the project has great potential, the team or the art, they are hyping it up and it all looks good, that's typically a good sign. If they talk about how much conviction they have, if they're supportive, like I mentioned, if they're encouraging and welcoming to new members, and that they care about the community, those are all things to look for. I've been a part of multiple Discord communities where somebody will just mention something and they just get slammed, right? There's a lot of swears, pointing fingers. It is not good, and I don't want to be a part of a community like that. And like I said, the project started out good. I saw it start to turn. There was even miscommunication about how many NFTs were going to get minted. At one point it said there was going to be 5,555. Next it was, nope, there's 5,000. And then another spot said 2,500, and then their Twitter said 2,000, OpenSea said 2,000. So it was like all over the place, not very well communicated, and those are just red flags and a learning experience for me and myself. But the best way to learn about it and to interact is to find out who the project leads are, who the developers are, join their Discord server and actually talk to them, like send them a message. If you get a response, if they seem like a decent human, then that's the best way to go. Start interacting in the Discord with all the other people in the community. See if there are any moderators in there, and just get a good feel for the community, I would say, before putting your money in. That's just what I've learned and what this article states as well, which I think is bang on. So there you have it. There is the video for today. A little bit of news, a little bit of price action, taking a look at different charts, and a little bit of fair warning, I believe, or a really good article that you can go read to look over what to look for in NFTs, just so that you guys are being safe out there. Hopefully you got some value from this video, and if you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you get notified for when I post new videos, and I'll see you guys on the next episode from the Crypto Cabin. Let's get it.